All right, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Series X podcast. I am just making sure the volume is okay. My OBS got an update, and of course, they switched everything to default. This happens about once every couple months or so. What is going on, chat? Great to see you guys. As always, love coming together for the Series X podcast. That is right, people. This is an Xbox podcast for the Xbox gamer out there. No console war drama, nothing like that. Just Xbox news, and I'm excited to do this again. I gotta introduce you guys to my partner in crime, a man who has been with me from the beginning of this show. It's basically, it's a 50-50 show here, half mine, half his. Of course, it is the elusive gamer, Jamie Moran. What is going on, brother?
Hey man, happy to be here. And yeah, it's been a good week. We've had new game releases, new games coming soon, and we literally in the weeks away from E3 now, so it's exciting times.
Definitely, man. It's probably the time of the year, man. I'm so excited that E3 is back. Even though it's not necessarily back the way we know it to be or the way it's been in the past, just to have it back, getting that excitement, having that wall there, that we know we're gonna get information on this time period about games that are coming up, about when it comes to Xbox and stuff like that. Has me really excited. And of course the other consoles, the PC gaming, all that good stuff. It is kind of like the I guess you could say it's the Christmas for gamers. Would you call it Christmas for gamers?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. But guys, we got a lot on the list, and this is an hour and a half show, so we have until 7:30 to get through as much of it as we can. Now, first off, Jamie, I got to ask you, man. I want to kind of make it a thing, what have you been playing on your Xbox lately, man? Since the last time we've been on the show.
Pretty much only Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Oh.
Yeah, like I've I've been so happy with that game. Like I have a video coming about it tomorrow, so I'll just talk about today what I haven't got in the video, and like I'm so happy with that game, and it made me realize we don't get games like that anymore. Like pure sci-fi RPGs and a third-person shooter, like nothing really like it. The first game has had a complete visual overhaul, like prettier graphics. There's things like screen space reflections in the Citadel and Novaria. Like a lot of the planets have grass now as opposed to just a green texture. It's just so good. And there's multiple different modes on each console. So I'm currently playing at 4K 60 frames, and it's just beautiful, man. Like it's so good. Like I just want to shake everyone on the planet and just say buy this game, because it's doing so well. I predicted it would sell maybe 10 million copies by the end of the year. The cool thing is it's doing well on all platforms, and if it does really well over a long amount of time, I think we will get the multiplayer. One of the developers has mentioned it in the past, and yeah, I'm happy with the product, man. Like it's so impressive what they've done to that first game, because like even though it's my favorite game of all time, it had a million problems with this. From the gunplay to how the Mako controlled, and it's all fixed. It's all fixed. And it's like I was actually speechless playing it, because like I was expecting some overhaul with some of the controls and how it feels, but like they really went in and did this game right, because we've played so many remasters this past generation, some great, some not so great, some straight up just up resolutions, but this is borderline perfect. I literally can't find anything wrong with it.
Wow, that's amazing. And we all know, Jamie, you are definitely a huge Mass Effect fan. Well, it is good to see that they did your remastered justice. And as I was asking you the question, what have you played? I kind of it already popped into my head. I already knew the answer, but nothing else but Mass Effect, huh, brother?
I've played some Call of Duty Black Ops. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. I did finish that co-op game recently, A Way Out, which was very good. Like people need to play that
with somebody.
It's a very cinematic game, and it's short. Like it's very short. Like I was happy that it was in Game Pass, because if I paid £35 for that, I'd be looking thinking, but as an experience, like it was incredible.
I got you, brother. And I'm going to let you know a couple things that I played as well. But first off, I got to give my brother, Phil, a.k.a. the Game Filter, a shout out. What is going on, brother? What is good, everybody in the chat? Now, Game Filter said, I feel like this show should be called Series XS Podcast. Now, the thing about that is it doesn't roll off the tongue. I had to go with one. I had to go with one letter out of the two. So I went with the Series X when it came down to it, man. But I hear you. And I think, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, but we decided, like, we kind of got the name down before they even announced the Series S, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like we had the name going for about maybe a month and a half before they announced the S.
Yeah.
I think Series just works by itself because, like, whenever I talk about like consoles and like games and stuff, like it's just easier to write Xbox Series as opposed to both letters,
Mm. Yeah. No, I could definitely see that. One thing I gotta let you guys know. Now I know Rockstar is coming out with Grand Theft Auto 5 again for the next gen consoles. So we're talking 3 generations of Grand Theft Auto 5. But guys, I'm on a Series S, and I started playing the story again in Grand Theft Auto 5. It looks phenomenal on the Series S, man. Like I just stop and I stare sometimes at what I'm looking at. Like, wow, I can't believe this game looks like this. I did that as well with the One X, but this is like taken to another level. So I can imagine when they go in with all the, the bells and whistles for the Series X, like what they're gonna do with Grand Theft Auto 5 again. Only thing is, man, dude, 3 generations, they should make that a free update. Jamie, what do you think about them releasing? Like, I know this isn't on our list, but this is a good question, man. What do you think about Rockstar releasing Grand Theft Auto 5 again with enhancements for another generation? They just did that, going into the Xbox One generation, but they're ready to do it again, and they're ready to charge you for it, bro.
Okay, this wasn't a topic, so I'm going to try and make this quick. I'm really angry about the GTA situation. Like, they're charging people for an upgrade when almost everyone else, is giving us free upgrades. When these free upgrades are easy to do, apparently, they shouldn't be doing this. I remember during the Xbox One X launch, I used to put out tweets saying, I hope we get a One X enhancement. And the amount of people that would reply to these tweets, and these were always Rockstar fanboys, should I say. They always say, but they're working on GTA 6. They bloody aren't. That game's 4 years away. Like, I hate, like, and here's the thing.
Bro. Like, I'm waiting for 6, man.
It's 4 years away. It's 4 years away. Like, and here's the thing, right? I've admitted before on Twitter, I used to be a GTA Online addict. Like, I've put over 3 months of time, 4 months of time into that, over 3,000 hours into GTA Online. That was before the heists.
Damn, bro.
So, in such a short period of time, I was obsessed with playing it, but it's like the multiplayer is horrible now. The rocket bike completely messed the game up. People can spin around on on a dime and just target planes now. It's ridiculous. They have an actual casino in the game now. Do you know this is how stingy Rockstar are, right? When you go to the casino in GTA Online, you can go to the counter and get free chips, right? It's called your daily bonus. It used to be 2,000 chips, so that's $2,000. They've limited that to 1,000 now. That's how stingy they are. Like, I can't, like, I hate the fact that Rockstar discovered these microtransactions in, I'm not one to bash microtransactions all the time. I just don't buy them. But it's crystal clear that, GTA 5 with online and the shark cards has completely changed how they view making games. Yes, we got Red Dead Redemption 2, which is an absolute masterpiece, but GTA, it's not right. Like, I'm so bored of it. The online is so unfair now. People spawn trap other players all the time just to get the kill death ratio up. It happens literally every single game. People do not. The only people that play that game now are the whales that spend tons of money on the upgradable, rocket bike. And here's the thing: it's not as easy as just buying GTA Online, playing it, and buying the rocket bike. No. You have to buy into a business, which costs like 8 million. You have to buy the truck, which is another 4 million. Then you have to buy the rocket bike, and then it all comes to like maybe like $15 million. And it's like I've earned over $370 million in that game because I was so obsessed. But it's like
And that was before heists, like you said.
yeah, that was before the heists,
Damn,
and it's like
bro.
I just took a step back and I just realized how crap it is. Like GTA 5 has aged so badly. Like, don't get me wrong, on the new consoles with the 16 times anisotropic filter, it looks good, but we've had the same game 3 generations. It's
Three
like
generations, man.
like
Have
I
you
love
ever
Rockstar.
seen anything like this before, dude?
No, like I know Skyrim used to get this meme of it being ported to everything, but if you really think about it, it wasn't really. It was on, the Xbox 360, PS3. It was on last generation, so that's 4 consoles, 2 generations, and it was on PC. Like, and it was on Switch, and it's like that's it. But it's like we getting a new Elder Scrolls. We had a new Elder Scrolls announced that will probably come out before the next GTA.
Oh, dude, you're killing me on that one. You're
Like
killing me.
I love the fact that we're getting all these new cool games now, and all these developers are putting their time and effort into these free upgrades. And then we have Rockstar, one of the most profitable games of all time, the most profitable game of all time, and they're gonna charge us at the end of this year for a remaster of an Xbox 360 generation game, which is ridiculous. And here's the thing: everyone assumes that it's going to look like those mod videos you see on YouTube, GTA 5 with all the ray tracing, 4K 60 FPS, packs and stuff. No, it's not.
It
No,
better
it's not.
have ray tracing in it, bro.
No,
I'm
here's
saying.
the thing: GTA has never aimed to be realistic. Never has. They go for this very, characteristic style, and they don't go like it's not going to be this photorealistic game. It's not. People can clip this. And the thing is, like, I love Rockstar games. Max Payne 3, even the they made a good table tennis game, but we're getting nothing but dog crap now. I can't play GTA 5 for another 4 years. It's dog shite.
Yo,
Literal dog shite.
Jamie, I did not know in a million years how much you would be triggered off that just one little quick thing. And the only reason why I brought it up is because I've been playing the GTA 5 story. Yo, real quick, shout out to my brother, my golfing buddy, Animated Evil, who is catching us live for the first time in a while. Like, he usually he catches us after the fact, which is a beautiful thing when it comes to YouTube, by the way. Yo, shout out to you, bro, man. We got to get back on the golf course sometime, Animated. I miss you out there. And I'm still going. I'm still going PGA Tour 2K21. That game is phenomenal, which another game I've been playing as well as Destiny 2, but for some rhyme or reason, this community never wants to hear my Destiny 2 story. So one thing I have to bring up, and Jamie, you can kind of chime in on this. I played the Scarlet Nexus demo that's on the Series S right now, and brother, I tell you what, that game is gonna be fire. Oh my goodness, the special moves of telekinesis and using you hold down the L trigger and you do like a super telekinesis move. It picks up you can either pick up like 2 things, or you can like pull a telephone pole out of the ground and swing it like a baseball bat. Like, yo, this game looks bananas. Dude, did you play the demo yet?
Yeah, I played the demo briefly. That game is bloody gorgeous.
Oh my god.
Like, absolutely gorgeous. It's 60 frames on Series X and S. And yeah, it ran butter smooth. And the thing is, the combat reminded me of a game I've already had, The Force Unleashed. Literally, the combat is almost identical, which isn't a bad thing. I think Force Unleashed has fantastic combat. The way you can throw objects at people, like benches, cars, and stuff. It makes you feel powerful in that game, which I really like.
Dude, and then you're borrowing powers from other characters that are in kind of like that like clique or clan that you're in. Like, I didn't get too much of the story, but and then when you borrow the powers, you do different special moves, stuff like that. Yo, the game so far is phenomenal. Yo, shout out to RG Viper X, said he will listen to my Destiny 2 stories. Brother, it's all about my hung jury right now. That's my newest weapon, bro. and I got a decent roll. I think you were with me when I was slapping in Crucible Iron Banner with that thing, bro. But yeah, I'm excited for Scarlet Nexus, man. And I think a part of it is my son has gotten me into anime pretty big after the show. Like every time we have dinner, we turn on Crunchyroll. Lately, we've been watching Attack on Titan, but we've watched a bunch of different anime series and stuff like that. So that's what we do for dinner, and I think that's part of it because there's definitely it's like it's an anime video game, but I'm really digging it. I'm loving the special powers. Like I like the flow of the game too, man. Like it's really smooth, and it's a demo, so it can come out even smoother than what it is. But fighting kind of like those horse creatures, that was insane. Where they come charging at you, and they got like this metal on their head that you gotta knock it off and stuff. You really cool, man. Did you get to those yet?
No, I didn't get that far into it. The Mass Effect like kind of took me away from everything.
Yeah, I'm sorry for asking, bro. Like I understand. This is something that you have been waiting for years, man. That Mass Effect trilogy. Yo, Pothead Gamer, what is going on, brother? It is good to see you live here in the chat. But yo, let's get into these topics. Let me pull up the topics list and see where we are going. You know what? Let's start with what everybody's been talking about lately. Biomutant. Developers came out first off with raw gameplay. Second of all, they came out with an announcement that Biomutant at launch will be 4K 60 FPS on the Series X. And of course, a lot of Xbox gamers were excited. The thing is, that's the only console that is going to be 4K 60 FPS, I believe. Jamie, did we hear anything about the Series S? Because people don't like to talk about that one, man. Did they say anything about Series S? Is that going to be 4K 60 or?
I think it's 1440p 30, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and everyone saw what happened on Twitter because of this. People were losing it. Forums were losing their mind. It's like, isn't it? Shouldn't everyone understand this is what's happening by now? Like, we've had news after game after game of these games being easy to update via backwards compatibility, and it's like, we should know this by now and expect it. Look at Wreckfest. It got a 4K 60 frames update on the Series X. It's not a native next gen version. It's just a backwards compatible patch. I think Star Wars. Jedi Fallen Order got something like that, but a lot of games have gotten this. And Microsoft's been working on backwards compatibility since late 2014. That's expected.
All right. Well, you're jumping ahead of me here when it comes to this because, of course, like I said, only console 4K 60 FPS. Now there are people out there claiming that the only reason this is going on between with the Series X in comparison to any other console out there is because of Xbox's work with backwards compatibility, not necessarily that the Series X is a beast of a system or anything like that. And I found that unusual because this game, I don't think it was, of course they're going to come out with upgrades for this current generation, but these developers, they knew about this current generation when it was coming up while they were developing the game or whatnot. So, Jamie, do you think it's because of the backwards compatibility, the work they put into that is making this game native 4K 60 FPS? Do you think it's the fact that the Series X is just a powerful system and can kind of like raw dog it, man, can really kind of like push out that performance or whatnot, like or a mixture of both. What do you think is going on here when it comes to this, man?
It's both. The Series X can brute force 4K 60 in a lot of games. And the thing is, people are saying, "Oh, Biomutant, it's a small game." Like, it's a huge game, right? It's a massive game, and it's been made by 20 people, right? And it was horrible to see how people were talking to the developers. It's like they literally gave reasons as to why other consoles aren't having specific types of things at launch. And the thing is, the other console isn't as powerful. Like, why is it so hard for people to understand? We just left a generation. Remember at the start of that generation where games were like, either 900p on the Xbox and people lost their minds. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition was 30 frames per second. People blamed the hardware, but that was actually because it was a different developer making the port. But it's like, we knew the situation. The Xbox One was a weaker console. The shoe's on the other foot now, and at the end of the day, they just have to deal with it and put up with it, live with it. Because we had to. I had to hear every single week, resolution gate this, missing grass that, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a crap? They have to deal with it now. They have a weaker console. And guess what? That's okay. That weaker console is still powerful.
Dude, the Xbox One, like you said, was the weaker console. And all last generation, like, I had fun. There was games I played, like, it was absolutely amazing, like Sunset Overdrive, like Quantum Break. Like, I can go on and on. Games I played on my Xbox One I absolutely loved. Of course, Halo 5 Guardians as well. But, like, it's like a dick waving contest, man. Like, it's really what it is, man.
Here's the problem, right? The early last generation, we all had it shoved in our faces of resolution. Nearly every single video game had a Digital Foundry video. We were told that 1080p made people a better gamer, and this happened with every other game. And the funny thing is, when games were 1080p on Xbox One, nobody talked about it. People were like, oh, it was either parody or no one talked about it. But the second the game was 900p, oh, it was the end of the world. Guess what? I loved Sunset Overdrive. It was 900p. Mm-hmm. I loved, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That was like 720p. The truth is that people can still enjoy these games. The problem is that a certain toxic fan base, they are so self-entitled that they can't stand to say that the console they don't prefer has more numbers. Because at the end of the day, they weren't bloody talking about Biomutant. They weren't. Nobody was talking about Biomutant on that side. Like, not one of these people that replied saying, I'm not buying your game anymore. You had no intention of buying it, because all these people do is talk about PS first party games. There, I said it. That's all they do. You only talk about God of War and this, Uncharted and the other Ellie profile picture. They never talk about third party games. They never say, hey, I just discovered this cool indie game. Hey, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey for the first time, or Red Dead Redemption. No, it's always first party Sony games. So the second Biomutant comes out and they say, hey, the most powerful console is going to have the better numbers, and people act surprised. The fuck is this? Like, that should not even be a thing. They have a weaker console, but it's still going to have beautiful games. So what if it has lower numbers? Who gives a crap? Like we had to deal with it. Dude, we got on with it.
At the end of the day, I can understand maybe on the frames per second kind of like side of it, because 60 frames per second, everything is smoother, it's quicker, more reactive, all that good stuff. But when it comes down to resolution, like, I didn't give two shits on my Xbox One. Why would I care going into this generation, to be really honest with you? You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't affect, like, for me, it doesn't affect my overall immersion of the game. Although I will say that other console went really low on the native resolution to upscale. Now, there could be an issue there. There can be things, artifacting, stuff like that, on the screen on that version when it's in motion, that could, show inferiority. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to it, if you're playing the game, you're getting involved in the story, the gameplay is pulling you in. You're not going to be like, whoa, those bushes, when you get past 50 meters, those bushes are fuzzy as hell, man. I don't know about that. Like, I don't know. Do you do that? Because I don't do that, bro.
No, I just enjoy a game for what it is, and I just happen to be playing a lot of games in 4K, and it's beautiful. But like as a person that played like games from the Xbox One launch, like, why is it we had to deal with it? We had to get on with it. We had to enjoy our games at low resolutions. Why can't they?
That's a good question. I don't know.
And it always reminds me of the situation where the bully doesn't like the other person to fight back. because think about it, a lot of these people for years, they just threw it in our faces saying, hey, look, it's 1080p, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, how many games on Xbox One were 60 frames first party compared to other first party games on other platforms? Makes you wonder. Like, and look, we're talking about Biomutant, and look, the console is powerful. The backwards compatibility situation is just better. They've been working on it longer. You know, they've been working on it since late 2014. We be able to have Xbox 360 games go up to 4K. We have Xbox One games that now run at 60 frames, you know, without a native, you know, patch. And it's like, it's crystal clear Microsoft have the better backwards compatibility because they've been working on it longer.
Yo, yeah, I am sorry, Jamie, but you freaking Viper, Game Filter, and a couple others have been going kind of like crazy in the chat. And yo, shout out to Crispy Bomb who is here. And of course, he has that wrench, and he will drop the hammer if anybody mentions the name of other consoles. He will. He'll do it. I swear. But yeah, like all in all, absolutely ridiculous. Like you said, the devs, these people went after the devs, all that good stuff, and it is what it is. The Series X is what it is. When it comes to running these games. And I don't think it's all fully like backwards compatibility either. I think it's the architecture, it's the design of the system, and as we go into this generation, I think we're going to see this more and more. Now, when it comes to the other consoles, they have very talented developers out there that get the most visually. Yes, I said visually, all right, because I played some of the games that people like tout over there. And visually, they are stunning. Gameplay-wise, let's just stick to visually on that one. And they are very talented. They get the most out of the hardware that they're developing on. And, when it comes down to it, I think you're going to see the same thing going on with Xbox this generation. I mean, we saw it last generation with Sea of Thieves. People threw out it was cartoony, all that good stuff, but it's still one of the most beautiful games I've ever played in my life, man. I don't know.
It's weird, man. Like it's okay for like the thing is all consoles have really good looking games. That's a fact. It's just that it just goes to show that certain fan bases can't take what we had for years. They can't. Like look at this. People were so vocal about resolution that Microsoft came out with a One X that ran a lot of games at 4K, and we saw how fan bases react to this. Remember when Red Dead Redemption
180 on resolution?
Yeah, remember when Red Dead Redemption 2 was announced to be 4K on One X? People lost their freaking minds. Like forums, like to this day, you can still find those posts, and it's like people losing their mind. And the problem is now for people is that they don't like to see people say, "Hey, this console has the superior version," because it hurts them for some reason. Like, no, it's a piece of plastic. Get over it. It's like we had to put up with it for years. Now you have to too,
dude. And guess what? If it comes down to it, and you're so attached to we'll go with this game. You're so attached to Biomutant, and you're really hurt about this. There's always something you can do. You can go and you can order a Series X. Like, and there you go. Then you have Biomutant. You have it on the superior hardware and how it's running, and it's all good. There you go. All said and done, I think we wrapped it up. We solved the problem, Jamie. Look at that. We are problem solvers, sir. I do want to get into the E3, like what we want from E3 and stuff like that. So, real quick, I'm gonna start with Forza Horizon 5. All right, because shout out to my brother K Mega. For people who don't know, like next podcast, GRG, even like Four Guys and stuff, we're all kind of like connected in DMs in the background, and we share like articles and stuff like that, when news comes around. And the newest rumor for Forza Horizon 5 is that it is releasing in September 2021, September of this year, people. And I'm both happy and sad when it comes to this. I believe the rumor is absolutely true, to be honest with you. And I was one of the ones saying motorsport is supposed to come out first. I feel like they're changing motorsport so much and having it be a continuous game. You might call it a game as a service. I don't necessarily like to call it that because I don't think there's going to be like season passes and stuff like that when it comes to motorsport, but I think they're going to have like new car packs and kind of like added content, added racetracks over time. So like a continuous game, you know, putting in fresh content. And I think that overhaul is so drastic, is so major that I think it might have pushed it to next year, man. I really do. But Horizon 5 coming out in September. Last rumor we heard was Mexico when it came down to Horizon 5. Now, Jamie, what do you think about this rumor? Do you believe it? Are you excited? Does this make sense to you? What's going on, bro?
I mean, I think the idea of Mexico could be really cool. It sounds more and more likely that Horizon 5 is this year. You know, personally, like I prefer Horizon, but I'm used to getting a track-based game when a new console launches. So if at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, I should have Motorsport by now. But I mean, hey, if they need more time to make it the game they want to, hey, I'm still excited for Horizon 5. It just, I'm looking forward to how they take advantage of the, Mexican like scenery and stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And to be honest, September sounds really realistic.
Yeah, man. And just think about like, and I'm gonna put some Horizon 4 gameplay up while we're talking about this real quick, because just look at that. That game is absolutely phenomenal. Can you imagine a game built from the ground up with the Series X, Series S in mind? I also think it's going to run on the Xbox One. What do you think, man? Do you think it's going to be a cross-generational title here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with cross-gen stuff. I say a lot of people on some podcasts and stuff or whatever, and they freak out when a game's like, cross-gen. It's like game design hasn't changed for decades, and people want to act like just because we have shiny new consoles that it does. No, it doesn't. Do you know what these car games are going to do? You're going to race around on 4 wheels. Game design. People just keep acting, and I see people freak out, and I just laugh because it's like no games have fundamentally changed the past few generations. Every game that comes out right now could theoretically run on an Xbox 360. No matter what platform, they just have to tone down the visuals and some of the animations. But game design, it stays the bloody same. Same with racing games. Look, these racing games are going to be gorgeous. The racing games still look good on Xbox One, so it's like, I have no problem with cross-gen because they can still optimize for the new consoles as they're going to optimize for the old ones. So, like, to me, it's like, it's just more people that's going to play a game that, let's face it, a racing game is more likely to be cross-gen, especially if it's not like a track racer. Because with the open gen one, or I should say open racer, like it's more. I think the player base for Horizon games is just bigger,
Yeah, definitely. It definitely it caters to a wider range of gamers. Now, me, I am definitely a motorsport fan over Horizon. I do love playing Horizon. You guys can check my papers. You can check my receipts on Xbox Live. I don't block anything. I don't block you guys from seeing any of my stats or anything like that. I do love like the closed circuit, kind of like jockeying for position. When it comes to Horizon's more on just it's a more wild type experience, cutting corners, cutting through fields and stuff like that, finding the shortest route that you can possibly make while still hitting your markers and continuing in the race, where that simulation aspect, racing laps on Laguna Seca and stuff like that. I really like that stuff, man. And I'm missing motorsport right now. I'm missing a new motorsport. I was hoping for it when the Series X and the Series S came out, but with what I hear that they're doing with Forza Motorsport, the reason why they took the number out and it's just Forza Motorsport now, and how they're going to continuously add content to it and stuff like that, overhauling the physics even adding like a you know measuring humidity and how it affects your car on the racetrack. I'm really excited for that when it does come out. Now, when it comes to Horizon 5, I think everybody wanted it in Japan. Jamie, everybody wanted it in Japan, man. What's going on? Why are they hating on Japan? That should be the next spot, bro.
I wanted Japan, like Tokyo and Mount Fuji, and specifically that thing would just look magnificent, like all like the neon signs and stuff. But
Yes.
you have to think from like a development standpoint. They used to making these fields filled with towns, not cities filled with a mountainscape. So I think that might be the biggest issue. I do think one day we will see Tokyo, but it's like creating an open world city that you can drift and race in. I think that's going to be a hell of a lot longer to make than let's say Mexico, because that's going to be a lot of open world areas. But yeah, I mean, look, we've all seen, or at least heard of, Tokyo Drift, and as crap as that film is, it looks good. Racing through Tokyo looks amazing in that film, and it's like drifting around car parks and stuff. I would love to do that, but I mean, maybe in a few years. But I'm always excited for Horizon because they always offer something different. Like when they announced the UK to be like for Horizon 4, I kind of rolled my eyes because I was thinking, well, I've seen these roads before, and it's like driving around the UK. Actually, it's really cool now, as opposed to like when it was first unveiled. So it's like, I'm always cool for a new setting.
Mm. Now, when you were talking about the city and stuff like that, and kind of like developing that cityscape open world, and you're like, it seems that AMD might be ready to challenge NVIDIA and their DLSS, or deep learning super sampling, kind of like their feature that they have on their graphics cards. And of course, when it comes to AMD, this is an RDNA 2 feature. What is it called again? Like come on, guys. FSR, and FSR stands for Fidelity Effects Super Resolution. And this is something that has been talked about for a while, but we really didn't get any specifics from it from AMD. But it seems that, and Jamie, you shared this article with me, they might be able to release this feature in June, of course, for RDNA 2. So when it comes down to it, after they come out with this, maybe it'll give that headroom to really go in on a incredibly detailed Tokyo at night, neon signs and everything like that. But with AMD supposedly ready to take on NVIDIA and their DLSS, I got to ask you, Jamie, first off, if there's anything that in this article that you can put in layman's terms, because I saw, most upscaling is linear, and they're talking about also processing it non-linearly, stuff like that. And it's stuff that I can really kind of go in, but without, like, it's all technical type stuff. So if there's any way that you can say it in kind of like layman's terms, but I got to ask you, man, what does this mean for the Series X and the Series S? I think it means a lot because these systems are full RDNA 2. But what do you think when it comes to AMD and their new FSR, bro?
Yeah, so like to not go into like technical jargon, because that stuff can be boring sometimes. So basically, and I'm going to talk about DLSS first. So basically, the way it works is that you're able to have a low resolution image, and the software would be able to use, in some cases, AI upscaling to make, let's say, a 540p image, and it would be able to make that look as crisp as a 4K native image. Now, when you get that, and AMD solution will be able to do this as well, is that when you get that, that means performance goes up, which means you have more headroom for things like ray tracing. So right now, I'm going to use Watch Dogs for an example. So that's like currently 1800p, I think, with ray tracing at 30 frames. We are getting a 60 frames mode on, I think, July 1st. Now, the thing about that is, if we got this AMD solution, they would be able to have a higher resolution look. So, let's say 900p, and it would use this technique to go up to 4K. We would be able to have 60 frames and possibly ray tracing all at the same time. So for things like the Series S would probably benefit the most because that's also RDNA 2. You'd be able to have, let's say, 4K gaming at 60 frames on a Series S.
And a $300 system.
Yeah, and it's going to benefit the S big time. And, the Series X, you're going to have things probably like more, you're going to have more headroom for different ray tracing features and stuff. So overall, like, for full RDNA 2 consoles, it's a win. Like, you're going to get better performance with better visuals. And here's the thing, like, a lot of games right now perform at 60 frames per second. So they can use that headroom on other features like, particle effects, lighting, dynamic lighting, not everything needs ray tracing, screen space reflections work good. Like I was talking about Mass Effect before, that could probably go up, if they do patch it, that could probably go up to like maybe 4K 60 frames using this technique on a Series S. So it's like, everyone with the new generation Xbox will get a win from this. It's not an if, it's a when.
Yeah, and like I said, the rumor is they're ready to put this feature out in June. Now, Jamie, if the rumor is true and they put this feature out in June, do you think developers that are developing on the Series X and the Series S, do you think they already have the tools and they're already developing with that in mind? Or do you think when they drop this feature out there, that's when the developers get their hands on it and then we might not see it for a while in our games that come out?
The way I see it, they already have some of the tools, but like for instance, recently we got announced that the Metro Exodus is getting a next gen patch, and it's going to be 4K 60 frames with ray tracing. And when I saw that, I was thinking, really? Because Metro Exodus is one of the best looking games ever made. It looks ridiculous. Even on a base Xbox One, that looks good. So like, I have no idea how they're going to do it, because the Xbox One X specifically, like, that's a powerful console. That's like a high-end PC basically, and it's like, I was looking at that and it's like 4K 60 with ray tracing. Really, like, we getting that? But when I heard about this AMD thing, I was thinking maybe that's how they're doing it, because I talked about the whole super resolution thing about 6 months ago. But AMD's they're coming out with better tools for their chips, and it makes sense. Remember, Microsoft waited for full RDNA 2 for better features. That's going to affect us long term. So probably developers over the summer will get better tools to optimize for the super resolution stuff.
I got you, bro. At the end of the day, I'm really excited about this because, again, I am a Series S owner, and I feel like this technology, which we have been hearing about, even Xbox, people at Xbox have been talking about, being able to take lower resolution textures, putting them into a game, and having, machine learning bring those up to like 4K or whatnot with like no artifacting, and stuff like that. Just a really, really sharp image. And I said all along that, when it comes to the Series S, that's what's going to make the Series S viable throughout this entire generation. And now we're getting really close to seeing, this feature put out there by AMD. We were talking that Xbox is full RDNA 2. So, Jamie, do you think like that's where you're going to see the benefits? Like, there's other systems out there that are only they're partial RDNA 2. Do you think there's going to be any benefits in that area, or is it just going to be with the full RDNA 2 design?
I mean, look, without beating around the bush, we know that Microsoft waited, right? That's why a lot of development kits and tools were sent out late, right? We all know
Tools?
This, right? Any arsehalf with a phone can do this in 5 minutes with research, right? Look, they clearly waited for a reason. Microsoft, look at their console, right? It's so well built. The Series S and X, they're so well built, and they're smaller than the competition, yet more powerful. Like, and the thing is, Microsoft's always been like, software focused. So it's like, they clearly waited for a reason. And, AMD is coming out this summer with tools that's going going to be better. And the thing is, I don't know if the other consoles are going to get this, this working for them, And the thing is, maybe, the competition has something, first party wise, for the solution. But the thing is, DLSS and super resolution, maybe, even though they work slightly differently, it's two different solutions for the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's clearly everyone in the industry is looking at these solutions to, save on power for performance and still get good visuals. Like, hell, even the new Switch, right? We don't talk about Nintendo, but the new Switch is rumored to have DLSS features because that's just where things are going. And plus, Nintendo's been telling developers to program for 60 frames games. So it's like, everything's telling me that all this stuff is going to come into fruition over the summer. And we'll see which consoles don't, because we could be looking at a situation where Nintendo has DLSS working, Microsoft has, Fidelity FX working, and the other company just sat in the mud playing by itself.
Oh, I do feel, I believe that they said that they have some type of homebrew solution. Now, whether or not, like, what the performance is and how good that is, will definitely remain to be seen. Now, when it comes to DLSS, those PC gamers out there that have played games and enabled it said that from what I've seen, they said that this feature should be in every game. When it comes down, they're getting insane frame rates and stuff without sacrificing any of the visuals. I think that's something that console gamers wanted when it came to this generation. And it seems that technology might be right around the corner when it comes to the Series X and the Series S to actually obtain that. But Jamie, we got to get into E3. Yes, guys, E3 this year, right around the corner. We're gonna have one. Makes me absolutely forget the horrible nature that was last year and all the shows that were going on, and oh man, just the train wreck that was when it came to gaming announcements and stuff last year. It was horrible, bro.
Yeah, before we get into it, can I talk about something? Last year we had no E3, and the gaming scene was kind of like the beginning of Mad Max, where it's just nothing. So we had Summer Games Fest last year, right? And all these other companies, Ubisoft, EA, Xbox, they all put on these little digital shows. And there was this thing, and I'm doing air quotes for people that can't see me, this thing called Summer Games Fest. Now, Summer Games Fest, if you look back at it, it was literally just all of the events put into a website with a link. like really think about it. Like, Microsoft had their show, Ubisoft had their show all within a few weeks of each other. But what was Summer Games Fest really? It was just links to other dudes' shows.
Huh.
Like, you could have run Xbox Game Fest. And the thing is, like, I have no problem with Jeff Keighley. Like, I think he did a fantastic job of linking all those, shows on one website. But it's like, he did a pre-show for these things, and then the show ran, and then he did a post-show. It's like, so that's what Summer Games Fest was. And here's the thing, Game Informer and I believe IGN put on their own shows for, game reveals, which were really cool. And, that to me was like them trying. Summer Games Fest is just links to other shows. So is Summer Games Fest going to include all of E3 now? Oh, magical. But it's like, we're going to talk about E3 now because that is legitimately something. We have all these companies coming out to show us games. Warner Brothers, Ubisoft, EA is going in July for some reason. But yeah, I mean, last year it was crystal clear. Look, people have said for the past few years, and we all know why, we don't need E3. Everyone was bored shitless last year.
Yo, for real.
Right? Like, we had game announcements shared over 4 months as opposed to 1 week. Like, that was so boring, right? I don't want that again. That was like, as a person that covers gaming, from a creative standpoint, it was like, okay, I don't have to heavy things out. But at the same time, it was like, last summer was just so boring.
Dude, as a content creator that's in gaming news, I love that you said that, Jamie, because last year, like, there's something about E3. When you have conference after conference, day after day, you're just getting bombarded with information. It is a lot of work, getting the information out there and stuff. But let's be real. It's also a lot of fun. There's a lot of excitement. You you start looking at the information and you feel like you pulled out things that other people have missed, and you can't wait to talk about it. And then when it comes to what happened last year, it was so dragged out for such a length of time that there was really, in terms of content creation and making videos and doing live streams and stuff like that, it was really kind of, it was boring per se. You really didn't really have to put the pedal to the metal on it and really try to get all the information, think things through, get your own opinion. Like, it's an exciting time as a content creator when it comes to E3, bro.
Yeah, I mean, like, normally we have the month up to E3 where we get some game teasers, and then the week up to E3 we have, some games announced. And then the thing is, normally we see games revealed at E3, then shown off with gameplay, new trailers, dev talks and stuff, and we didn't have that. We just had 4 months of dragged out crap, and it's like as a person that views content and creates it, like, it's not enough, like, to spread that out over 4 months. But the fact that all these companies now are going to pay the ESA to have this quote unquote digital event, like, it just goes to show how much people want it. Because every year we always get these numbers back about how many millions of people paid attention to which conference, and it's like, people love to watch these things.
Oh yeah.
And it's like you remember how Twitch hosted a game thing like a few months back, and it's like it was clearly made for Twitch viewers. It was dragged out of 4 hours.
I try to forget it. Thank you for reminding me, though. I appreciate it.
Like, I'll probably have a nightmare about it tonight. But it's like E3 special. It always has been special, and it's like it's good that we're gonna have all these new announcements. We have Xbox that's gonna pretty much share their show with Bethesda, which is a big deal because Bethesda normally have their own 2-hour show. That doesn't make me think that they're going to have a 5-hour show. It just makes me think that, we're going to see a hell of a lot more games coming, because there are games coming out this year that haven't been announced yet.
And I know people are curious about this year. Now, me, being the type of gamer I am and the franchises I love, right? Of course, pretty much number one on that list is Halo. And Halo is slated for November. So, give me Halo and give me a racing game, and I'm pretty much set after that. Anything else is just kind of like the sprinkles on top of the sundae for me. Yo, Dragonheart, what is up, brother? I love you too, bro. No doubt, man. Thank you for hanging out with us, yo. But so you give me Halo and a good racing game, and I'm kind of happy for the year. Getting into it, I want to see 23 studios, and Jamie, I love the fact that you brought up the whole Bethesda thing and how they're doing a show together. That's interesting to me because, like, they were acquired by Xbox, so you figure that they would just show them in the Xbox show. Like, it wouldn't be, hey, we're doing this together. Dude, what do you think, first and foremost, what do you think that says about the acquisition of Bethesda, that they're not just, taking their games and putting it in their Xbox event, but they're saying, hey, we're doing this show together. So you're seeing some type of split. There's still some type of, I guess you could say, personality, like, some type of freedom when it comes to Bethesda and what they're doing making games, man.
Yeah, I just see it as Microsoft's, laying down their territory, letting people know that Bethesda is theirs. Because, even up until like last week, people were questioning things about Starfield. It's like, Bethesda's going to announce stuff this year that is only on Xbox. Like, that's just simple. But it goes to show that, Microsoft wants Bethesda to show that, they are still in control of themselves, while they will work together in the future, maybe share engines, technology, help, or whatever. Bethesda's still its own entity, but under Xbox. Much like, Rare pretty much can make their own thing, but they're still under Xbox.
Yeah, but Rare, they their games go right into the Xbox. So I just feel like it's interesting, and to me, I feel like that shows that they I don't know, man. I think that was a weird announcement, unless it's just to I don't know, ease like some of the gamers' possible worries out there or whatnot. that they put Xbox Bethesda show. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like as like two teams unified together. It's something we really haven't seen before. I don't know. I think it's really interesting. But Jamie, the rumor that's going around is no Hellblade 2 and no Everwild at E3. What do you think about that?
I mean, the Everwild thing doesn't surprise me. We've had 2 teaser trailers. Hellblade, we had a teaser trailer, and remember that game has been made by, from what I can tell, a small game. Or should I say a small team? But yeah, it looks like that. It's like, I don't think people realize that. I get it. We have those Twitter accounts where they take everything Xbox and spin it into a negative because that's the only way they can get attention because they have no personality, right? That's just how it is. So, like, you have to think about this. Microsoft has over 23 studios, and we're talking about 2 games. Like, am I the only person that could see that? It's like, oh, it's the end of the world. Like, woe is me. It's like,
well, they're gonna have nothing to show now. I mean, the other 21 studios aren't doing anything.
It's like, do people really think with 20 plus studios, most of which consist of multiple teams, they're going to show up and have a 2-hour show of Phil Spencer sitting on stage smoking a cigar? No, that's not what it's going to be. We're going to have a lot of games shown. That's what it's going to be. And, here's the thing. Bethesda have a tendency to announce things that release 6 months later. Yes, they do announce things that are years out. I still think they shouldn't do that in the future, but it's like they have things to announce that's going to come out probably this year. We have things like, that Microsoft have a tendency to go for a 90-minute show. Look at 2018. 2018 was the best E3 in my opinion for them because the pacing, it was just game after game after game, studio announcement, and it's like the pacing was so well done. They're going to do that digitally now. They've learned their lessons from the past, going from crappy webcams to like a bigger production. Yeah. And it's like, well, where we were at that point, everyone had a crappy webcam, But it's like they've learned a lot now. They know that we want a full-on E3. Yes, it's going to be digital, but you can do a lot digital. We've seen Apple make full-on productions for their shows now, which look really good. But yeah, I don't think people should freak out because Everwild and Hellblade isn't going to be there or may not be there. And you have to remember, they have Fable. They have all these different studios making games. You have things like Tango Softworks are making a different game at the same time as Ghostwire Tokyo. Like, they have so many games they could announce. And the thing is, they wouldn't be doing an E3 if there was nothing to show. That's the truth. Like, and the thing is, people want to talk about, games and studios and stuff. Microsoft's actually showing up to E3.
Oh, he went there. He went there, people. All right, so no, let's just go with the rumor that the rumor is true. No Hellblade 2, no Everwild. So 21 other studios. We already know for an absolute fact Halo will be there. Do you think it's opening? Do you think it's closing? I think they should open with Halo, bro. What do you think?
So this is not going to be my full predictions list, but I'll just give you a rundown of some things I think will be in there. In which order? Open with Halo, close with Starfield, huge Game Pass thing, like maybe a highlight reel of games coming soon and today. Certain Japanese games like Persona probably coming out that day.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, the thing is, opening with Halo, I think is the best way to go, because the thing is, if they end with Halo, we know what everyone's going to say. No, they closed with Halo, even though Halo is going to be one of the biggest games of the year.
Yeah.
They open with Halo, they get it out of the way, because we've already seen the gameplay. We just need to see those pretty new visuals. So if they come out the gate, show us a cutscene, followed by a little bit of gameplay, then a little clip of multiplayer, then, they get people's juices flowing, and then they start coming out with new announcements. And that's how people will like it. And here's the thing, we're going to see Starfield this year. Like, and I've seen people say, why has it got so much hype? Like, it's a new Bethesda IP. Like, it's a new open world Bethesda IP by Todd Howard for the first time in like 20 years. Like, people tend to forget that. Or I should say 25 years. It's like this is a new IP. And it's going to be like a sci-fi game, which, hey, I'm already hyped for. And it's like...
Real quick, and I'm as I'm listening to you, Jamie, this is what I do. I also, look, I check the chat and see what's going on. no different colors today. There's been no super chats, so I've had to really kind of go in and read. And Lethal Terminus, shout out to you, bro. He says that they opened with Halo twice in the past years. He said maybe 3 times, but twice for sure. And he's kind of right on that. When it comes down to it, like they opened with Halo. What was it? Was it last year with the gameplay and everything like that, or So, that makes me kind of think twice about that. Maybe, what do you think if we reverse that? They start with Starfield and really drop people's jaw, and then maybe go into like Halo gameplay within that, after maybe a couple announcements or something like that.
I mean, I don't know. I personally think Halo first would be the way to go. And someone in chat wrote, "Lol, Persona, old games." Right. So here's the thing: ports get announced at a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And people get a pass for it. But as soon as you mention Xbox, hell, I just had a huge rant about Grand Theft Auto, and guess when the remaster was announced? When the PlayStation 5 was announced. Right.
Ooh, you said the B word.
No, it needs to be said, because if you're going to get fanboys in the chat, I'm going to put them right. Right. You can't say, Persona, old games, because all these consoles get ports all the time, and they get hype, right? Happens all the time. Remember Final Fantasy coming to other consoles for the first time? Got hype. It happens all the time. It's just you have these, like, little bullshit artists that like to be, little trolls, saying, all old games. Guess what? Your favorite game today is going to be old in 2 years. People's profile pictures they have as their favorite game right now is going to be an old game. And then you're going to defend it because it's being called an old game then. Get off your fucking high horse and stop calling things old games just because you don't like them or you've played them already. New people need to experience more games more often, and just calling it an old game just makes you look like a dickhead.
I think, real quick, let me shout out the Friendly Neighborhood Blue Shell, because, brother, he put a super chat, and of course he is a member, so he put in the Xbox 448 emojis that he is he can use being a member. Shout out to you, brother. Yeah, I was just saying, I have to read more because it's all black and white now. I use the dark YouTube kind of page and everything like that. But he's like, a super chat. Here you go, brother. Thank you so much for the support. Definitely appreciate that. Oh, man, I had a point. What were you saying, Jamie? I had a point on what you were saying.
It's like, I bring up ports whenever I come up talking about game shows, because ports get announced at game shows. It happens for all platforms.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Because
it's fine.
Real quick, we're gonna go back and forth, Jamie. We're gonna go back and forth on this. So, what I wanted to say is the way that gaming is going now. All right, you don't just leave your games behind anymore. All right, there's an evolution going on here where the games you have purchased, there's almost an expectation of you bringing them with you as well to play them whenever you want. And I think that's some place where Xbox has done really well. Not only do you get to play them, wherever you want, but they're doing free upgrades, and they're upgrading games, and they're getting them to perform better without the developers having to go in and put a patch and stuff like that. I think gaming is changing, it's evolving, and it's bringing the games that you already purchased in previous generations, and it's saying, you know what, those are still mine, and I still play them. How many people still play old games? There are a lot of people out there that will still play a game from previous generations, no problem whatsoever. So when it comes to that, I feel like Xbox, and I think eventually the entire kind of gaming industry, I know right now other companies are trying to do it with remakes. So they're trying to get more money from you that way. But I feel at the end of the day, it's going to, gamers are going to expect to keep their library. And not only that, they're going to expect developers, companies, and whatnot to even upgrade these things as generations go by and as the technology gets more and more powerful. They're upgrade these games so that they run and perform up to the standard of today. I think that's what's going on, bro.
Yeah, look. The hottest game right now is Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and the first one came out in 2007. That's an old ass game, right? It's okay for these games to get ported to other platforms. Like, I don't get people's problem with this, because guess what? The Nintendo Switch is the hottest console in most countries right now, right? And it has almost a port of every single game from other platforms that are ancient. The biggest selling games on that console right now is a port from a generation before. It's like, it's okay for these ports to be announced, and I don't get this comment of old games.
Yeah.
These games aren't old for most people, so stop calling them old, man.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, if these games that these people love get remakes, like Final Fantasy VII, they don't call them old games anymore. No, because the remakes they do. It's no. You know what? The same thing's going to happen with Aerith. You know what's going to happen. When I bought Resident Evil 2 remake, I knew what's going to happen in the first 5 minutes. Like, get on with it. Anyway, let's go on to a different part of the E3 thing.
All right, man. Yeah, you got me thinking about Final Fantasy VII. Not only did they do a remake, but then they sectioned it up. They added content, all right? They added story, they added content or whatnot, but they sectioned it up, and each one is going to cost the price of a full game. Like, talk about dipping in for that money right there, man. That's insane. But, yo, I still want to try it. You know what I'm saying? What I saw graphically, it looked really good. But yeah, no, I see exactly what you're saying. And I feel when it comes down to it, I think gamers are going to expect their games to come with them. I think that's where we're going. I see it turning that way. And I feel that Xbox is doing a great job, on the business side of things, of marketing that fact as well. And putting it out there. And of course, with the design of the Series X, Series S, they really knew that was going to be a thing, and they're riding it out. But back to E3. Let's go surprises, man, because I feel like you probably have this well thought out already. I mean, we're pretty close to the show, even though they haven't announced a date yet. Were you expecting a date by now for the show?
I think that'll be announced in this next week.
Next week. All right. Because I have to take off from work, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I'm working that day, I got to take off from work. I'm definitely taking off from work for the show, bro.
Yeah, I've mentioned this on Twitter before, and bear in mind, this isn't based on anything. I just have this weird hunch that we're going to get Wolfenstein 3 announced this year.
What happened?
I have this weird hunch that we're going to get a new Wolfenstein announced this year. Because think about it, like, we know that Indiana Jones is like not far into pre-production, as far as I know. And like, what have they been making for the past 2 years or 3 years? Like, Wolfenstein 3 just seems like not an easy release, but just seems like something they'd get out this year. But like, that's just a hunch. But here's the thing, you have to remember Jason Ronald from like Xbox. He said like one of the games he's looking forward to is something that hasn't been announced. That could be anything.
No, but it literally could be anything, and that's another thing. If you notice from Xbox guys, like when they're talking about games that they're most anticipating, they're not in that genre, that group of it needs to be big budget AAA for it to be my most anticipated. Like, people in the Xbox group, it could be an indie game, it could be a AA, it could be just about anything, man. To be really honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're gonna show off new IP, and the thing, I'm not one of these people that think a game has to be good to have a certain amount of ears tied to it. Look at the game that's coming out in July, The Ascent, right? That's a top-down action RPG set in a cyberpunk world. It has super detailed graphics, and it's an indie game, right? The thing is, I like the fact that the Xbox community talks about different games, not just the same 4 AAA games all the time. And that's okay. Like, some of the best games are indie games. Remember Celeste? That was critically acclaimed and up for Game of the Year in most outlets. Like, and that's an 8-bit game. Like, it's okay for games to not be third person, over the shoulder, action adventure. It's like, that's so boring. It's like games are more than that. Like, when Perfect Dark was announced, I was thinking, great, they're going to announce yet a safe third person over the shoulder game. But no, they went risky and they went first person again. When the safest bet in 2021 or 2020 when it was announced, would be a third-person, over-the-shoulder, action-adventure, cyberpunk game, Perfect Dark. Because, do you know, whenever I talk about Splinter Cell, I always get these comments before, like Perfect Dark was, like, officially announced. People were like, oh, no, that's Perfect Dark. Because people assumed they would go in third person. Because that was the safe move to make. And that's the thing I like about Microsoft. They don't do safe anymore. Because they don't have to. You know, they bought Bethesda. But buying Bethesda wasn't safe. Do you know Arcane Studios make immersive sims? Most people don't even know what that genre is, right? But they're awesome still. And it's like, we could see anything announced there. And like one of the comments, like, oh, what about new IP? Starfield is literally new IP. It's going to be shown this year. Just because it was announced a few years ago doesn't mean it's not new IP. Get out of here with that nonsense.
That is true. You know, if we have time, we will tackle the whole Starfield thing as well. I'm trying to think of surprises, and you know, Jamie, in my mind, like it's almost like anything goes right now in Xbox's camp. They have so many studios, so many teams within the studios, all working on different things. Again, and it's all because of Game Pass. Now, shout out to Game Filter in the chat. He said, as long as they drop in Game Pass, they will be mine. Like, and I am right there with you, bro. I've been subscribed with Game Pass for, you know, I think pretty much since it first came out. And I've watched it evolve, I watched it grow, and I've seen the content just, you know, fill up in that subscription service. You know, Viper said Scorn is coming to Game Pass. I believe that as well. But with so many studios and all acquired, so this way they can, you know, self-sustain Game Pass in terms of content. They don't have to rely on third parties. So they don't have to go out and ask third party developers and publishers, hey, can we get your games on here? It's more like they'll have the third party publishers and developers coming up and saying, hey, we would like to put our game on Game Pass, and then start the negotiations that way. But with that being said, all these studios, I have no idea what can be announced. Pretty much anything, Jamie. Like, I don't think we've ever had an E3 where a company had so many first party studios like this that I can't even come up with a surprise, brother.
Well, that's the exciting part. They have so many studios, most of which consist of multiple teams. They could announce anything. Like, the reason I mentioned Wolfenstein is because that's just one studio I could think of with, you know, one of two teams. And it's like, you have to think of it, like, how many of these studios have multiple teams? Even in Exile, one of the small RPG studios has multiple teams now at two different offices. So it's like, they literally could announce anything. And, you know, like, I do think a big emphasis of E3 is going to be Starfield.
Really? So you think, like, they're going to do, like, a full feature on it, like, on stage?
Yeah, like, normally how, like, Halo gets, like, 10 minutes of its own time, I think Starfield's going to get that. Because remember, Fallout 3 got that treatment. Fallout 4 got that treatment. Skyrim, Oblivion, all had that treatment. All just lots of gameplay, big reveal, and it's like, this is going to be their third pillar to Elder Scrolls and Fallout. And it's like, I don't think people realize how big that is.
Yeah, I mean, like, when they first announced Starfield, you know, back before ZeniMax was acquired, I mean, they didn't really show much or anything, and it got people hyped. And you can tell that title, that, you know, kind of like proposed franchise, maybe, you know, like they put a lot into it. You can tell that there's a lot hanging on that. There was a lot of development time, a lot of man hours. You know, it was an important title for Bethesda. It is an important title for Bethesda. So, you know, to put it up there and say, like, they're aiming for it to be in that category with those bigger games, those bigger franchises, I feel is absolutely true. Absolutely true. I know we haven't seen anything when it comes to Starfield yet, but you can tell just by the way they announced it. You could tell by kind of like the importance behind them, like, talking Starfield or whatnot, that it's an important game to them. And so hopefully it translates to a really awesome game for us. Again, we haven't seen pretty much anything from it. But I don't know, man. I'm excited to see exactly what this game is, and I if they pull out a full feature, that would be awesome. It would make sense as well, because if it's coming out next year, they do have the time to put something together full feature wise for the virtual E3 stage this year.
Yeah, like, you know, you have to remember Starfield was actually rumored to be announced 2 years before it was like officially unveiled. So it's like they've had this idea for the game plan for a long time. I personally think too many games get announced too early in advance, but it's like it's clear that they're going to go big with this. Because think about it, Microsoft bought them for $7.5 billion. Of course, they want to give Starfield, you know, its own, like, you know, big space. And the biggest stage of them all is the WrestleMania, the Christmas of gaming, you know, E3.
Yeah, man. I'm really, really excited. Dude, is there anything else we should cover when it comes to Xbox's E3? Because, like you said, they like to do 90-minute shows. I've already stated, when it comes to surprises, I can't even fathom, you know, exactly what they will pull out of their hat. Yo, let's talk about Halo Infinite. What do you think we are gonna see when it comes to pretty much the biggest game that's coming out this year, bro?
I honestly, I think they're going to do the traditional thing. They're going to completely ignore what people said about it. They're just going to show us something new, something that looks good, followed by some multiplayer. Because again, people are itching to see what that multiplayer looks like, and you know they have to get this right. They know this. You know, you have to think about this. Which Halo reveal has gone down like bad? It's only the Halo Infinite reveal. Halo 5 reveal went fine. 4 fine. 3 fine. 2 fine. 1 fine. It's like it's just Infinite that had a bad reveal. And I think that they'll fix the situation. Because again, remember the hype when Halo 4 was announced?
Yeah.
Like, by both times it was announced at the CG trailer when he came out the pod, and then there was the E3 afterwards when he was like walking on the planet. Like, that was so hype. So it's like they know how to do a reveal for Halo. Same with Halo 5. It's like they can do it right. They will get it right. It's because like they have done it right before. It's just people are just going off that 1 year and, you know, talking about Craig all the time. It's like, yeah, I get it, Craig, blah blah blah. It's like, you know, once a meme is funny, but then it just dies, and it's like people just run it to the ground. It's like they're not even going to acknowledge the whole Craig thing. You know, it's best for them not to, because again, people run with it. It's okay to run with a meme for a certain amount of time, but it's like Halo 5 is more than Craig. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and the whole, you know, I think we're gonna see a dramatic difference visually when it comes to certain things in Halo Infinite. I think like the pop-ins, the clouds, stuff like that. I don't think we'll see any of that. Do you think we're gonna see some multiplayer? Because 343, they have a tendency to either go single player or multiplayer. But I feel like this is a different Xbox. It's a different time. I'm hoping that we see, you know, single player, but I want to see some of the multiplayer as well. And possibly, Jamie, what do you think about this? Because they did talk about a beta at some point in time before the release of Halo Infinite. Do you think a beta can drop that same day for Halo Infinite multiplayer? I would say yeah.
I think with it being a digital event, I think all these companies are going to want people to have things to play. So while I do think other games will get things like demos and stuff, I do think a Halo beta could drop that day. Because again, people are itching to see what the multiplayer looks like. I don't think they would give it its own, like, you know, huge segment on, you know, on the show, but probably its own thing like afterwards. But it's like they have to show us the campaign, show us it looks good. They will. I mean, we saw those screenshots. And please, people, when we do get E3, stop zooming in 10,000% on images, on compressed images.
They're still going to do that, bro. They're still high. Dude, you can beg and plead and ask, and they're still going to do that, brother.
It's like, it's obviously going to happen. But again, I do think we will definitely get some big, you know, multiplayer news this year. I should say at E3. And here's the thing. Nobody knows what multiplayer remotely looks like in that game. outside of the screenshots we have seen with multiple
Which
Spartans.
is what I'm showing right now.
Yeah, like that looks good. That looks really good. And if you compare that to Halo 5, that looks better than Halo 5. And Halo 5 is the best looking Halo. So it's like, I can't really complain with that. And look, sprinting. I love that. I love the fact that they have sprinting in the images because, a person should be able to sprint in a game, obviously. Goes without saying in 2021 because you don't be, walking, which is stupid. I could have a rant about Halo any time of the day.
Anytime, man.
But it's like, look, I think they're going to get it right. Like, they've shown us in the past 343 can get a campaign that's good. We have 4. They've gotten multiplayer right, which was 5. Smack the 2 together, we all good. And from what I'm seeing from these screenshots, they've got the multiplayer images like just perfect. I think the C3 is going to be it. Like, it's going to be the biggest Halo because it's free to play for the multiplayer. The Xbox Live Gold paywall is now down for free to play games. It's like people have to be sold on the campaign because Microsoft likes to talk about Game Pass all the time, but guess what? They still like people buying games,
Yeah, they want to mix it in, pretty much. And you're talking about the screenshots or whatnot, and I'm looking at the Spartans, and dude, I love the armor style for the multiplayer. Just so smooth, so clean, so sharp. Absolutely phenomenal. Shout out to Lethal Terminus in the chat because people are going back and forth in the chat talking about whether or not they'll have like a campaign demo for Halo that releases. Multiplayer demo, multiplayer flight, which is what they're calling kind of like the beta testing and whatnot. But he said this is a good idea. When it's all said and done, if people want to see the improvements, put in the area that they saw with the gameplay, like on YouTube, not on the show, but on YouTube, at that time or whatnot. But put in the before and after, and show people the difference visually in a YouTube video. The textures, the kind of like the work that they did in kind of like changing the look of the game, improving textures, stuff like that. I think that's a great idea, bro. What do you think?
Yeah, I think from the main show they aren't going to like do a comparison thing because they want people to just be 100% positive like throughout the entire show. So afterwards, I could see that happening. Yeah.
And there's fans of Craig in the chat. Shout out to everybody who's a fan of Craig. Of course, we all know Craig is incredibly OP, super powerful character. I think they're gonna do kind of like I guess you could say a Craig Easter egg or something like that, because if you look at Master Chief Collection and you look at Halo 5 Guardians, they have different nameplates, right? I think that they are going to have a Craig nameplate for Halo Infinite in terms of the multiplayer. Do you think they're going to put in something for Craig in Infinite?
Maybe maybe a nameplate or something, but I don't really think I think they want people to forget about what they've seen as fast as humanly possible.
Well, they definitely adopted it. I think they should run with it, man. Just put in a nameplate and have like Craig's face on the nameplate, kind of like chromed out or something like that. I would rock that at least for a while. I'm really big in Halo 5 Guardians. Like I'm really big at like, getting the right armor pieces, matching colors, and then putting a good nameplate on. Like I'm about aesthetics with my Spartan when it comes down to it, and I would definitely love to see a Craig nameplate or something like that. So Craig will have a cape. Oh my goodness. The chat is absolutely on fire. Guys, if you haven't done it yet, hit that thumbs up button. Let people know where you hung out on Sunday. Of course, it is with me and Jamie Moran, a.k.a. the Elusive Gamer, Series X podcast. But see, it is about that time, Jamie. It is about that time. I am hungry. I have my son heating up the ravioli as we speak. Ravioli with some spicy marinade sauce. And for the Italians out there, you know what I'm talking about, marinade. For anybody who's not Italian or doesn't deal with Italians, I think you might call it marinara. I can't do that. My grandmother would absolutely kill me if I don't say marinade. But Jamie, it's another show in the books, man. I think we got to talk about E3. It's probably we're gonna go live again before the show, right? Yeah.
Yeah, should do. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably even talk more E3 on the next show as well, because as it comes out, especially as information comes out and more rumors come out and stuff like that, we will be all over it. And of course, Jamie, you are a hound when it comes to Xbox news, man. I absolutely appreciate you doing this show with me. And then, when it comes to like getting the topics together and stuff like that, behind the scenes, man, you pull off some awesome articles. That AMD one was definitely incredible, man. Just it was a lot of tech talk though, a lot of tech talk, but really cool, man. It is always great to do a show with you. It is always great to do a show for everybody out there in the chat, and for the people who can't come and check us out live. It is YouTube. You can watch us whenever you want to. Shout out to the friendly neighborhood Blue Shell for hitting us up with that super chat. Thank you so much, bro. But it is time for the outros. So, Jamie, you do have a YouTube channel, man. I think you should definitely let people know about. In case they have been living under a rock and they don't know about the Elusive Gamer, man, let them know, and then let them know where, they can go and talk games with you, brother.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been an awesome show. I always love doing this every other week. And yeah, probably the next time will be the week before E3, I think. So a lot of stuff to talk about then. And yeah, I know I've went off a few times today. The truth is I'm actually in a really good mood. Sometimes I can fly off. Like GTA comes up and my blood boils.
Dude, I did not plan that at all, man. Like, you went off, dude.
But when you were talking about it during next podcast, like my blood was boiling. GTA 5, man, that gets me raged. But yeah, my YouTube's The Elusive Gamer. I have a video coming out tomorrow about Mass Effect and another one about Xbox during the end of the week. Again, it's all Xbox stuff. I literally just talk about Xbox and games and stuff. And yeah, that's The Elusive Gamer. My Twitter is JamieManUK, where it's just gaming news and jokes.
Yeah, you definitely, if you haven't followed him on Twitter, you definitely need to follow him on Twitter. Not only, like you said, the jokes and stuff like that, but he'll pose questions and he'll post like bits of like games from the past that he would like, up to today's standards and stuff. It's really interesting. Jamie, you make my newsfeed entertaining on Twitter. You make me think about things. You ask questions that I will literally sit at work doing what I do at work and think about what you said on Twitter and try to come up with an answer, man. I definitely appreciate what you do on Twitter. And of course, YouTube. Guys, you got to go subscribe to this man. You got to check out, dude, quality videos, man. Absolute quality videos. Love your opinions and your takes on, all things Xbox, man. That's where we prefer to play. That is my preferred platform. I don't see that changing anytime soon. We got 23 first-party studios working on multiple games right now. Jamie, it's an exciting time to be an Xbox gamer, bro.
Yeah, again, E3 is right around the corner. There's a cool game coming out almost every week for the next month. So it's good times, man. It's good times.
Nice. And again, shout out to the chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We are here every other Sunday. That's right, guys. Every other Sunday, because my work schedule, it gets me a little upset. I wish we could be on every Sunday. I am kind of looking in on trying to change positions and possibly get it to where, I am free more when it comes to Sundays. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. I definitely appreciate it. As always, guys, keep it gaming and keep it Xbox. Have a great night, everybody.